I met someone who did engineering at Cambridge before I applied, and they said it's so much work. It's 8 hours a day. It's really full on. I was like, wow, that sounds quite a lot. But actually, once you get there, you sort of settle in because although it is a lot of work, you actually have quite a lot of time as well because you're at university. So that does make a difference. So maybe less than I actually expected, but still a fair amount. And if you stay on top of it, you still have time for other things.
For me, I do HSPS, so doing an essay-based subject, I was worried when I got here about like the amount of reading I had to do and the amount of essays were sort of expected of us per term. But I think you do sort of get into a routine of it. And I think for me, it was a lot of work, obviously, but it's manageable.
I do law, and it is a lot of work, but I think at the same time, it's kind of like what you make it. So you're set quite a lot, but how you approach that is very individual. And learning how to prioritize and use your time intelligently means that actually you can make time for other things you want to do outside of work. So, I mean, I guess I was kind of like pleasantly surprised that it is something that you can manage on an individual basis.
I'm an English student, so like there's a lot of flexibility in my course and the timeline, but I think that's kind of how you deal with it, as in you get more time to delve into your reading and stuff like that. So it is very different from what you're used to before, but as in you quickly adapt and like you're all in it together. So it's quite nice that you can kind of figure out what you're doing together as a group and kind of figure out where to look and where to find the resources and stuff like that. And the library is amazing, you know, offering resources.
I do PBS and Barnatsky, so I have a lot of I have multiple essays I have to turn out each week. And at first it seems really daunting, but I think you're able to figure out exactly how much work you need to do, so you're not overworking yourself, and then you just get really efficient and have a whole process that you just get down. So if you had to write an essay, you could do it in a matter of a day.
I remember looking at the reading lists we got for HSPS and just being completely overwhelmed by them. But you do quite quickly develop a strategy to work through that and just work to a level that kind of covers all the bases, and then anything you do on top of that is kind of you can always do more work, but the level that you need to do is very manageable. It will still take up the vast chunk of your time, but yeah, it's manageable.
I really struggled kind of managing my workload when I first kind of turned up in Cambridge. So I just kind of went straight to my tutor and my director of study and just went can you help me out with this? And so I kind of worked it through with them. And so some people might be able to kind of fit into a rhythm that they can create themselves kind of very quickly. But the support was there, and I just kind of immediately was I'm gonna need help with this, and we managed to kind of sort it out quite quickly. And I do history and politics as well, so you tend to have heavier weeks and lighter weeks because it's not as linear as some other kind of degrees. So that's quite nice that if I know I've got a particularly heavy week, I know I could maybe let up kind of the week after and have a little bit of a breather. So it's definitely manageable because it kind of goes a bit kind of in a cycle.